After touring around Europe with his band in the late 70s, Barry's illustrious career started in the early 80s with international chart toppers Brotherhood of Man. Then he became a UK top nightclub DJ whilst writing and producing for many famous hit artists. In the 90s, he turned to country music for inspiration and wrote worldwide hit 5, 6, 7, 8, leading to his formation of pop band Steps, who have now had numerous single and album chart success. After more hits with such diverse acts as Sonia, John Otway and the Cheeky Girls, plus a song in the double Oscar-winning film Little Miss Sunshine, Barry moved to the Sunshine Paradise of Thailand, where he's been presenting on radio and TV, as well as continuing to perform music live. His passion has always been songwriting, and this he successfully continues to do.
Now, 2015 has arrived. Is it at all possible that your life in Thailand can keep up to the momentum of happiness you've enjoyed thus far?
Well, I had the most popular morning show in Pattaya, undoubtedly the best playlist. On TV, we were producing some fantastic programs. There was a series called Female and Fabulous that our female presenter, Megan, was presenting. I was directing and producing. I was also producing a thing called Pattaya Stories, where people would talk about how they came to Pattaya and what they thought about Pattaya. Also Expats TV, Expats Club. I used to go down there I think it was on a Sunday, and interview the guest speakers, and we would just talk about what they were talking to the Expats Club about. And also I was still producing Girl About Town for Club Insomnia. And that was a monthly thing, but big production. That was a big feature. So yeah, very busy. And then there was the bed race, which we always took part in annually. And this particular year, 2015, I did Beatlemania outside Central Festival, right in the heart of Pattaya on Beach Road. Performed my Beatles act, and we were there in our Sgt. Pepper suits, very colourful and well received. And then there was a thing called Burapa Bike Festival, which I think I've mentioned before. Now this was very unusual because I was asked to take part in the top of the bill act. A guy called Ron Bumblefoot Tull, great rock guitarist, and the guy who replaced Slash in Guns N' Roses. So that's how good he is. Richie Rhodes, who was organising the entertainment for the Burapa Bike Festival, was on my morning show one day. We were kind of promoting it, and he was saying that they were putting a band together for Ron, but having a trouble with the second guitarist, and he wasn't really learning the stuff properly. So I said, well, if you'd like me to help, I'm happy to. And he jumped at it. So next minute, Ron has sent me over the parts, and I learned them in a couple of hours. I had no problem. So I ended up suddenly becoming a rock star for a couple of nights at the big festival, and it was just so funny. I'd morphed from being a cheesy pop star to a rock star, and I even did some lead vocals. I did some dual harmony lead breaks with Ron. It was just exciting and absolutely amazing, the fact that I'd suddenly got my rock credentials for sure.
And how was your relationship with Molly going?
Well, Molly's family, they were really heavily into property, and they were constantly trying to get me to buy some property with Molly, and not directly to me, but through her. So there was always problems about this, and I eventually succumbed, and I did buy a condo 50-50 with her, just to try and keep her family happy. But it seemed that wasn't enough. And during Songkran, we went down to Surat Thani, down to Phuket, to Phi Phi Island, to Maya Beach. I've had a great time touring. But her mother was pushing for marriage. And so when we got back, once again, Molly visited her family, came back and was very dour. And this always seemed to happen. So I could see this was going to be a problem. And at one point, Molly laid down the gauntlet to me that, you know, we would have to get married or buy some big property. Otherwise, she was going to move out, and that's exactly what she did. She moved out back to one of her condos. What happened then was there was a movers and shakers. It's like a networking party. And then Rodney, a friend of mine, Rodney Charman, he had a friend who was organising a charity called Kate's Project, and she hadn't really been out for a year, you know, hadn't been going to any parties or anything like that. And he brought her along to a movers and shakers, and I met her there, and I was quite taken with her. And then about a month later, when Molly hadn't really come back and renewed our relationship, suddenly I was single. So there was another movers and shakers event, and I saw KJ, as I call her now, Kongjit, and she was a little bit drunk because there was free flowing wine. And as I say, she hadn't been out, she wasn't used to drinking. So she was a little bit drunk, and she said to me, your job today is to get me a boyfriend. So I said, well, I might be able to do better than that. But that evening I had to go and film with Lee Shamrock in Soy 6, would you believe? We were filming a We Love Soy 6 party, and a special video we were making for Pattaya people. And so anyway, I got Kongjit's number, and then the following day I kind of figured Molly's just not going to come back, so I called up Kongjit, and I mean, we went out for dinner and just got on like a house on fire. And I just looked at her and thought, well, this is the hippie girl I've been looking for all my life. She looks like a hippie. She's got the kind of hippie principles. And she wasn't a bar girl or anything like that. She was a lovely country girl from central Thailand or north of Thailand. And an absolute gem.
Wow, so she officially became your girlfriend?
Yes, but not before Molly had come to collect her stuff, and just before she departed, she picked up a flower pot, threw it through one of the windows. That was her parting gift. And unfortunately, KJ witnessed it. But anyway, it didn't affect anything. She stayed with me. We kind of cemented our relationship. And our first public appearance was at a wet t-shirt competition. Very big affair this was, where I was a judge, and she just loved being out. Everybody took to her, and suddenly we were a public couple. At that time as well, I was still filming Girl About Town, the feature for Club Insomnia. And my current presenter was going to be going to Sweden for a while. So there was a vacancy for a presenter. So I convinced Kongjit to be my presenter. I said, I'll train you. She was a bit reluctant. She'd never done anything like that before. I said, no, I can train you, and I'm sure you're going to look good. So Kongjit wasn't a great stage name or a great name for this particular feature. So I took the K and the J and said, you're going to be now known as KJ. So I trained her up, and she suddenly blossomed from a simple country girl to a celebrity in just a matter of a few weeks. And she did it really, really well.
How about your music? Still going strong?
Yes, I did another tribute night at the Mantra this time. I thought I'd have a go at singing some of those croony type songs. I've never done it before. So we called it the Kings of Swing. I got a Michael Bublé style suit made, very shiny, and did all those kind of Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, those kind of old style songs, big band songs. Great fun to do, and it was really good training for me, and gave me even more confidence with my voice, because I'd never tried singing those songs before. And then there was a nightclub right in Walking Street called Secrets, and I was doing a few one-off gigs there. It's very, very well-run nightclub. But then the manager thought maybe I should do every Friday, and so I agreed, and that's it. Every Friday was Secrets Night, live music at Secrets Night with Barry Upton, and it really became popular. It was a great gig to do.
And then I believe you had a celebrity visitor.
Ah, yes, Becky, who was on Big Brother 5, who I talked about previously, and I'd had a little fling with in the mid 2000s. On Facebook, I saw that she was looking for a holiday. She wanted to go on holiday. She had been looking after her parents who were suffering from dementia and Alzheimer's and all sorts of things, and she needed a break. And I just casually said, well, why don't you come out here to Thailand? And she just jumped at it. So I had a word with KJ and said, do you mind? She's an old friend. And she said, no problem. She can come and stay at the house. So that's what happened. Becky turned up, and KJ and her got on like a house on fire. They went on a shopping trip to Bangkok. Becky was always very flirtatious, and she came and sung with me at Secrets. All three of us were skinny dipping in the pool, and our little threesome was a happy one, and we were having big fun in paradise.
And you were knighted Sir Barry Upton.
I mean, you can't plan these things. You can't even write these kind of stories. There was a Philippine order called the Knights of Rizal, and Neil Skoloff, he was one, and it was up to him sometimes to put people forward to possibly become a Knight of Rizal, and he put my name forward, and sure enough, they accepted the fact that I'd done stuff for the community and I was an upstanding citizen and I had the right attributes to be a Knight of Rizal. So they had a special ceremony, and the ambassador, the Philippines ambassador, came to pin the badges on us and do the sword and arise Sir Barry. Suddenly I was officially Sir Barry Upton, and I mean, how good can it get? You've just been knighted Sir Barry Upton, and you have two women with you. We came back to the house and had a private pool party, and also the girls accompanied me to Tony, my friend Tony. His 60th was at his new stately home just outside Pattaya. It was absolutely fantastic. It was like South Fork Ranch, and I dressed up in a suit, and the girls had these wonderful dresses on that they'd bought up in Bangkok. So I actually felt like James Bond with a couple of Bond girls.
At Christmas and New Year that year, you invited your daughter and your grandson to visit.
Yes, I thought it'd be great to have Nadine and Luke come over to celebrate that period of time with us. I had a few gigs, and there's so many places we could take them, and we did our best to make them feel like it was Christmas. It's obviously not going to be a traditional British Christmas, which I think it affected Luke a little bit, but he was good. He had a good time. He enjoyed coming into my radio station and being an interviewee on my morning program. And I took them to many places. We went down to May Pim, where I was going to be playing at Christmas. And so they had Christmas on the beach there with the sunshine. And it took them to Bangkok, showed them around the Grand Palace, tried to give them as good a holiday as I could possibly do. And I really tried my best to give Nadine and Luke a dream holiday. With Luke spending every spare moment playing in the pool. I hoped it had been a good experience, but as they departed to return to the UK, I could sense that Nadine was not happy. There was a couple of incidents where she got a little bit jealous of Luke being close to me, or us going to the radio station together, and she spoke to me a couple of times very, very badly, and KJ was just shocked. She'd never seen a daughter talk to her father like that. There was no respect whatsoever. Well, I didn't think that I could command her total respect, but it doesn't matter. You know, I tried my best.
2016, and it was time for Baraka again, and this time I think you really excelled yourself.
Yes. Talk about being fearless. The guy, Richie Rhodes, who was organising the Baraka Bike Festival, he wanted the same band to support Ron Bumblefoot Tull again, play with him and be top of the bill. But he said to me, you know what would be great is if you and Ron could do like a song in Thai, because there's so many Thai bikers, and it would go down really, really well. So I thought about it, and I researched, and I found this Sek Loso song. He's a superstar in Thailand, called Prama Pud. And I thought, oh, you know, maybe we could do that one. I sent it to Ron in New York. He came back and said, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, let's do that. So I said, okay, well, I'll learn it, you learn it, and then when we get to rehearsal, we'll work out who's going to sing what. So the song's called Om Prama Pud. So the night before the performance, we had a rehearsal just to brush up on all of the songs we'd learnt the year before. And when it got to doing Om Prama Pud, I said, so which bits have you learnt, Ron? And he said, Om. The first word. I thought, oh, that means I've got to sing the whole song in Thai, right? Well, KJ had actually taught me to sing it kind of phonetically, and I had the lyrics big on the monitor in front of me. So on the night, I was a little bit nervous, but I thought, oh, let's just go for it. So I started singing it, and I didn't dare look at the audience. I was just looking at the words and making sure I got all the words in the right order. And then it got to the lead solo. I looked over at Ron, and he took over, and I just looked up at the audience, and they were all going, yeah, like this. So I thought, I've cracked it. The first time I've sung in a song in Thai is in front of thousands and thousands of Thai bikers, and I've done it. So it went really well. And at that time, Becky was visiting for a second time, so I had two rock chicks with me, and I believe KJ, she took a little video of that particular moment. And then just after that, it was my 62nd birthday, and wow, that was memorable. Again, Becky was with us, and her and KJ had conspired to take me to Koh Samet, which was that paradise island. So we went down there, and we had one room. So there's me with two girls on my birthday. You can fill in the rest. And then I did a little pop video for Becky. We filmed it down at Nong Nooch, and so it was a great moment, a great time. I was just a Pop Tart in paradise.
So what's it with you, kind of man? Why do I have to tell you again?
about your new identity for 96 FM?
Yeah, I felt like 96 FM needed a bit of a facelift, so I gave it the motto Sunshine Hits on 96, and I went round and recorded a lot of my friends and people who were well known around Pattaya actually saying, I'm so-and-so and you're listening to Sunshine Hits on 96. And it went down really well. It gave the station a real good identity and basically said what the station was about.
Then you met a Chinese pop star.
Yes, it was a friend of mine, Ren, who he said, you should meet this guy David Lee. He's from Taiwan, but he's had a lot of success in China, and he's in the same business as you know. So we met up at Starbucks in Pattaya and had a coffee together. And you do meet a lot of people who've got these stories about themselves, and sometimes they seem too good to be true. Well, this one really did. He said he used to work for NASA, and he had a studio in Los Angeles, and he had a lot of hits in China. But it turned out everything was absolutely true, and how I found out he was for real to start off with was I had a Mackie mixer at home in my studio, and I was having a few problems with the startups on it, and when I mentioned it to him, he says, oh, I've got the same mixer, and I'll come up and have a look at it for you. So he came up, fixed it in 5 minutes. I thought I was going to have to send the mixer away somewhere, to Bangkok or wherever, and it's a big mixer. So I thought, oh, this guy's for real. Anyway, when it came to Songkran, as usual, we like to get out of town, and so this time we went to Taiwan. I'd already got some friends, Scuba Gun, a rock band who were living in the southern part of Taiwan. So I went to visit them, but also visited David at his studio, at his home, and he took us out to a market in the evening with his baseball cap, dark glasses on, because he didn't want to be recognised. And but sure enough, people still did recognise him. Ah, David Lee! Ah, you're my hero! I have all your cassette. I grew up with your music, you know, all that kind of thing. And he really was a superstar. So it was a fab trip with meeting fab people. The Gooba Gun guys, they took us all around the hills of Taiwan, and we had a great time.
And this is where I get really envious, because you played with the Gypsy Kings.
Yes. Now, Dr. Penguin, the comedy magician, a real character around town, he had a little place just outside of Pattaya by the beach. He called it Bingo Beach. But he always knew lots of people. He once escorted Michael Jackson around Hong Kong, even. But one day he says, I've got two of the Gypsy Kings coming, and I'm going to put on a little party. So, you know, would you like to come? I said, yes. You know, I love the Gypsy Kings. And so I ended up playing a few songs to start the evening off. And then these two Gypsy Kings got up and sung, and they sounded just like all of the Gypsy Kings together. They were just incredible. And so we ended up, myself and Dr. Penguin, on ukuleles, jamming with the Gypsy Kings. And only in Pattaya was a common phrase I was now using. Only in Pattaya.
However, all was not hunky-dory at PPMG.
Yes, at Pattaya People Media Group, Niels had decided on a new CEO. He wanted to take a back seat for a while, and he put this guy in called Marcus. And Marcus had a new team. He tried to give me a contract with a list of rules on it, and I just didn't want to do anything. I said to him, well, I've been working here perfectly for the last few years, and the list of rules he gave me were just untenable. I said, no, I'm not signing that. So we didn't get on too well. I spoke to Niels about it. Niels said, no, I put him in as CEO. Unfortunately, you know, he's now the boss. Ad sales were down. So what I did was I just kept myself quiet, kept my head down, and it got to about the middle of the year, and I wasn't getting paid. And so then there was this big argument about, he said, well, you have to see Niels. And then Niels said, no, you've got to see Marcus. And I thought, oh, this is all going to pot. Also, Marcus had put his wife in as production manager. By September, we parted company. And Niels came over to my house and begged me to still keep doing Girl About Town, the feature. And it was just coming up to my 60th production. It was the gold anniversary special, so I relented and said yes, okay. But I can't work with that guy.
And then your friend Tilly arrived.
Oh, Tilly Rutherford, he was a legend in the music business. Used to be part of PWL with Pete Waterman, had 25 hits in 1 year, signed Rick Astley, Kylie Minogue, Jason Donovan, Donna Summer. He was involved with all of that. And it was great. He had loads of stories, tons of stories. Anyway, he used to come quite regularly. But also, there was a guy called Jimmy Malone in town who was a great personality. And suddenly Queen were going to be doing a concert in Bangkok with Adam Lambert. So he got a whole group of us together, and we all went up to see the Queen concert. That was just brilliant. Probably the last big concert I've ever seen. And then after that, there was a guy in town, another character called Paul Jackson, who'd been a Freddie Mercury tribute act back in the UK in a band called Queen Bee. So we hatched a plan to do a Queen tribute at the next Barappa the following year, and of course I would be Brian May.
Then tragedy struck for Thailand when their beloved king passed away. How did that affect you?
Yeah, the king passing away was kind of expected, but when it happened, the country completely went into mourning. All entertainment stopped. Radio stations had to stop. TV stations had to show respect and not put any programs on. They said it was going to be for a month. Effectively, in Pattaya, it happened for about 2 weeks, and then we were told, yes, some entertainment can happen, so long as it's behind closed doors and not out in the open. Anyway, so we took an opportunity, myself and KJ, to go to her hometown of Royet, up in the lower Isan area, north of Thailand. And we took this 7-hour bus ride, which was pretty grueling. But when I got there was this fun celebration going on. A local young lad was being welcomed into the monkhood there. And so what they do, they have this big parade that goes around the village, and I got accepted into. I was the only foreigner there, and nobody there spoke English, but they invited me in and made me feel so welcome. And I had a really good few days there, and I saw where KJ grew up, and it was a beautiful area, very, very nice. On our return, I found out that Kevin, my friend who I bought my house from, he was the party prince of Pattaya, really, but he had a bit of a heart problem. But after a couple of weeks of rest and recuperation, he's back playing guitar with me at Secrets, which he loved to do, and he was vowing to change his ways. Yeah, right. And then Niels Koloff paid me everything I was owed from Pattaya people. His parting words to me were that well, I may want to work with you again. So that was nice. And I actually ended the year in good shape, because I'd had a record number of gigs during December, and it was all good.
So it's now 2017 and you're now a free agent, and I believe somebody tried to snap you up.
Yes, I was not a Pattaya People Media Group employee anymore. So there was a rival station called 103, and there's this guy that was running it called Tommy D. He scored a complete own goal because he invited me to go over to the station, and I thought, I think he's going to try and lure me onto the station. But all he did was just make fun of me the whole time, and I walked out of that that morning's breakfast show feeling like, I don't want to work with this guy. He's not cool. But then I had this idea for a film, for the musical. I think it was the thing that germinated from Ray Dorset, Mungo Jerry, many years before, and nothing had happened with In the Summertime, the musical. So I thought, well, maybe I could develop my own idea with a beach musical. Anyway, I wanted to go and start doing a little bit of research, and the first place we went was Cambodia, because the manager of Secrets, he was a gambler, and he was going on a gambling holiday to Cambodia, and his wife was in fact a Cambodian model, a famous Cambodian model. So while he was gambling in Sihanoukville, she was showing us around, and saw some fantastic beaches there. Then we went back to Phnom Penh, and again she was like a tour guide showing us around Phnom Penh. So we had a fabulous holiday, and then a lovely happy return to Thailand. And it was coming up now to Burapa Bike Week time, so we did our Queen tribute with Paul Jackson as Freddie Mercury, me as Brian May. I'd even got Paul to get me a Brian May guitar, which it's like a copy guitar, a copy of the famous Brian May guitar. So we looked the part, and I have to say, I think we did sound the part. And then I got another visit from an old friend of mine, a girl called Charlotte Henry, who sang with me for a while back in my Stars and Stripes days. She didn't sing with me for too long, but she said I taught her a lot, and I gave her a big lift. She hadn't had any singing experience before, so she appreciated the experience that I'd given her. Anyway, she came and stayed with us here, and that was lovely. And then there were some Norwegians who came, some Norwegian stars, and they were doing a Norwegian festival here in Pattaya. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, you really can't. I went along to see them, and there was one girl on the bill who really struck me as so good. So Gloria Scott was her name. She's a very famous country singer from Norway, but lived in Nashville for a long time. And she had that Nashville feel. She knew how to play guitar well. She had great vocals, and she came over to my studio. We wrote 2 songs in one day. One of those songs I think is really, really good. It's called In the Sunshine World, and a lovely lady as well, Gloria Scott. Check her out.
Sounds like you were making the most of your freedom from PPMG.
Yes, well, Songkran was coming up again, and time to get out of town. So myself and KJ, we went right up to North Thailand, and we flew up there, went to Chiang Mai and to Chiang Rai. Went lots of places around Chiang Rai. Absolutely stunning area. Saw the Long Neck tribe, went to a tea plantation, went to an artist museum, went to the Golden Triangle. Went to temples, the White Temple. It was just a fabulous visit. And then we returned home, and I kind of locked myself into the studio and wrote a lot of songs for this film project.
And then you took KJ to the UK.
Yeah, very good. Martin Perry, my friend in the UK who was running the And magazine, it was his 60th birthday. So I wanted to surprise him and turn up, and because he was organising this party. Anyway, all of a sudden he said the party was going to be off. I quickly texted him and said, well, I've already bought tickets, I'm coming to surprise you. So he had to put the party back on again. And it really was a great party, and I kind of took some Beatle wigs with me, and we did a Beatles set. It was great, and KJ loved the UK. She'd been there before. She'd been to Northern Ireland and Scotland and the north of England, but not to the south of England. So I took her around to meet, obviously, my sister and nephews and other friends around the area of Southampton. We went to Brighton to see my auntie Shirley and my cousin Graham. We met up with Robert Hart, who is a guy who sung with me at Bailey's for many, many years before. But he'd become quite well known as a rock singer now, and he was currently singing with Manfred Mann's Earth Band. So that was a good meeting up with him. We also met up with Nikki from Brotherhood of Man. That was lovely. We went out for a lovely meal with her. I took KJ to London, of course, and showed her the sights of London. And then we went out for dinner with Tony Hiller, my ex-manager, and Lee. And I could tell he's starting to look a little bit frail now. And I remember thinking, he's nearly 90. This could be the last time I see him, which it was. But it was fabulous to be with him once again. And it was just like old times, really, the banter and the friendship. So yes, we went to all around Dorset and saw friends John and Rainbow. We stayed down there. KJ was very taken with being out in the rural area and seeing the sheep everywhere. And it was a wonderful trip. We really did enjoy it. Little did we know that could well be the last time I would set foot in the UK.
So back again in Pattaya, tell me about the Legends concert.
Okay. Well, I was asked to be the musical director for a charity concert, and actually KJ's charity was going to benefit from it, so that was a good motivation. But also the fact working with all my friends here in Pattaya, and there was some real talent on that show. And we did a Beatles tribute, a Beach Boys tribute, Blues Brothers, Queen, Elvis, Rod Stewart, and there was a guy who did some opera singing, popra we called it. But I was in the Beatles, the Beach Boys, the Blues Brothers, and the Queen. But Morgan, who was the Wombles, the guy from the Wombles, he was doing a Rod Stewart show on cruise ships. So he opened up the show with his Rod Stewart act, and it was such a great show, completely packed out, made a lot of money for charity. It was a total success, and some people even said it could have been the best show ever in Pattaya.
Then you had a major operation.
Yeah, well, I used to wear glasses for reading up close, and computer work and stuff like that. And then I suddenly noticed that my long sight was going a little bit. And I'd heard about this super sight operation, and I also knew a couple of people who'd had it. So I suddenly met this guy at a party who had it recently, and I asked him all about it. And he put my fears aside and said that it was painless and it will change your life, and that's all I needed to hear. Next day I made an appointment and went to see Dr. Sumchai at the Super Sight wing of the Bangkok Pattaya Hospital, and he tested my eyes and said, yes, you're exactly at the right age and at the right stage with your sight to have this operation done. And what it involved was replacing the lenses which had lost their elasticity with Carl Zeiss multifocal lenses. I had it done and it was absolutely brilliant. I can recommend it to anybody. It is painless. You have to do a lot of eye drops and things like that and stay in overnight. But next day I drove my car home. I had to wear these dark glasses for a week. Because also the other thing that happens is that everything becomes brighter, so your sight really does get super. That's why it's called Super Sight. Sounds like a commercial.
At the very beginning of 2018, you were enticed back to PPMG. Why was that?
Well, the CEO, Marcus, who I told you about a couple of years before, he hadn't worked out very well for the media group. They were losing money. Niels wasn't happy with certain practices he was doing, and So January the 1st of 2018, Neil's called me up and said, can I take you to breakfast? And asked me to return to the company. I had to agree. 96 FM sounded rubbish. The playlist was awful. Whoever had been had changed it. And when I was driving around in my car, I'm thinking, this is awful. It's just not like it was. So I agreed to go back, and the first thing I did was return 96 FM to how I had it before. And also Neil asked me to put regular features into the newspaper. So I was back with a vengeance.